Hi. So this is my first live stream where I want to test the functionality as well as bring to you something very critical, something that I've been hearing a lot these days, and I'm sure you guys have heard about it and are curious to know. So here I'm talking about no code software movement. Um, you might must have heard the term no code. I've heard several times over past several months, and it's gaining more and more steam. So, what is no code movement? So, if you think about most of the innovation in past several years has been driven by coders, right? These are software engineers, developers, web developers, etc., who are have been creating this innovation by excessive coding, right? Coding. They've been coding solutions. But recently, there has been push for a no-code movement. In past, there was a push for coding, right? Everybody was learning coding, and even now, the kids are learning coding. Definitely, I see in my stream, Facebook or LinkedIn, etc., where people are pushing advertising for hey, teach your kids how to code. Even school flyers are there which are telling kids to code, right? And why? Because there was so much demand for software coders. They were building software, they still are. But recently this no code movement has been gaining steam. So what does that mean? What that means is you no longer have to be a coder to create new applications, such as web apps, mobile apps, etc. There are tools that allow you to create web applications, mobile applications without um, writing a single piece of code. You can just drag and drop and build an app. And that is what this movement is about. So rather than being dependent on all these, coding classes, etc., where you have to learn things, you can just learn a software that will allow you to create this no-code solution. So, what does that mean for like specifically? What does that mean for digital marketing and analytics field? If you remember, or those who remember, and those who are young, they don't know, but back in old days, and in many cases now, the website had to be coded. HTML had to be written. You go open even a um, application like Notepad, where you can write raw HTML, and then that turns into a web page. So behind the scene, it's all HTML that you had to write. But then came the movement of no code, right? Where you had Blogger, which was the blogging solution from Google, and WordPress, etc., that allows users to build websites without even knowing anything about the code. So you don't have to know the underlying code. You can just drag and drop stuff, and your web page and website is ready. Now there are applications like Wix that are doing the same thing. So that movement has already been there for years. It just, like I said, it's gaining steam now. In the initial years when I got started with digital analytics, it was the same situation. Or websites created these log files, right? Web servers generated log files where everything was tracked, which pages users are looking at, which how much time they are spending, how many bytes are downloaded, etc. Then these web logs had to be converted into something meaningful to create the reports. In those cases, you had to write code to process the logs, transfer the logs, process them, create visualization, etc. Then came tools like Google Analytics. There is also a history before even Google Analytics came about. There were other tools which made it easier for marketers to get data on their website usage. No code. You didn't have to write code. All you had to do is implement one single piece of code, and that's it, which developers did, and that's it. Your reports were there. There was no excessive coding. So, and then even in those scenarios, tracking button clicks, tracking download clicks, etc., required coding. Right? There was code that had to be written on in the page to track them. And now, recently, tag managers came along, which made it again no code. So every time there is some application that requires code or something that requires code, there's a no code version comes along. And now you have tag managers which can measure pretty much anything without you knowing any code. Definitely, if you want to do something more deeper, extensive, deeper and more extensive or involved, then you have to write code. And I'm sure there will be no code versions of those coming as well. And now I'm seeing, the data processing, data transfer, data visualization, all those things that require code are now no code. Even machine learning. I was teaching a class this morning where I was explaining the machine learning process and how you can take the data, process it, and then build models to understand what's behind those, what the data is telling. And now there are no code machine learning solutions. So I showed my students those no code solutions. So this no code movement is there to stay. You will hear more and more, but hopefully this clarifies what no code movement means. Basically, is while in past we needed to code something, now we do not need to code those things, and there are solutions that will allow marketers or somebody who doesn't even know anything about coding to create solutions, web apps, mobile apps, machine learning algorithms, etc. So the question is, should the kids still learn coding? Maybe. I guess we'll need somebody to code those no code algorithms on and somebody to manage those no code algorithms, right? Or softwares. So I would love to hear your point of view. This is something very gaining momentum, right? It has been, but now more and more you'll hear about uh, those applications that are coming up as no code. So definitely, I'll bring you more information as I see and kind of also reveal tools and technologies that are no code that are taking digital marketing and digital analytics to next level. So I'll bring those in this channel. However, I will love to hear your point of view on this no code movement. Thank you.